Now we are going to see what is primary key. A primary key is basically used to uniquely identify a row in a table, right? So let's say in a class we have two persons called Arun, and their initial is also same. Okay, so how we can identify both of them? We can call out by their roll number, right? So that's the concept here, that roll number is the primary key in that scenario. So according to each scenario we will identify which is primary key, and we will mark it as primary key while creating the table, right? So here in students we will assign the student ID or roll number as primary key. Okay, so the use of this primary key is to, it will reject all the duplicate values. Okay, and then it will not allow any null values in this particular column. And in one table we can have only one primary key. That's the main thing, and we can use it by combining two factors, two fields, right? So I will show you the example. At that time you will understand. So let's create a table here, students. Here we have student ID and name as the column, and the primary key is student ID, right? So let's try to insert each record one by one. Here 1 2 is the primary key. These are unique values, so it got inserted. Let's try to insert this one again. See, now we got an error because this one has already in the database, right? So it got rejected. Now let's try to insert the null values. See, if we define primary key to a particular column, then it won't accept any null values. Okay, now let's see how we can use a multiple key column as a primary key in a single table, right? So if we can use this order ID and product ID in a combined way to identify a particular record. So let's create this table and let's get into the example. So here we have inserted this order ID is 1 for the first record, and the product ID is 101, right? And then for the second record the order ID is 1 and the order ID and the product ID is 102. Okay, so in a suppose if we query this record using this order ID, we have two unique we have two same values, right? So we have to combine this order ID and product ID to make it unique. Okay, now let's try to insert this record. So now we will get an error because this 1 and 101 both in a combined way it already exists there. Suppose if we try to insert here 103, now it will get inserted. Okay,